Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, Rich. Not too bad. It's been a couple of days, I'll tell you that. I'm ready for the work week to be over.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate everybody out there joining us on a Thursday night rather than Wednesday night. I was still a bit under the weather yesterday, so appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I can see we already have several people that are watching us live. So appreciate you joining us and looking forward to giving you all the League One information that we have tonight because I'm telling you, our outline is extensive tonight.
Oh yes, very much so.
All right. Well, before we jump into any of the league news, club news, previews, all that kind of stuff, Brian, what are you drinking?
I just have water tonight. Came down and started getting a little bit of a headache, so I'm trying to head that off
All
at
right.
the seams here.
So yeah, we are combined are not going to be embracing the on the rocks tradition. I have some tea that's brewing next to me, and then Brian's going to be drinking water. So that's the state that we're in tonight.
Okay, you know what? Since we said something, all right, I will go ahead and take a
Oh, there
pull
it is.
of the uh Riegers, I think if I remember right, that's how you say it.
Nice.
Sporting Kansas City edition.
There we go. I didn't know that Sporting had their own liquor.
Well, I know it's that distillery down there in Kansas City, and so they just put out a commemorative Sporting Kansas City one last year. My brother got it for me for Christmas, so I have it down
Oh
here with
yeah,
me.
I remember you telling me that after Christmas.
Yeah, it's got
Completely forgot about that.
all my soccer memorabilia is sitting over here to my left, so figured
Nice.
I'd throw that on the desk as well.
Very cool. All right. Well, looking at the league news, excuse me, looking at the league news, looks like we didn't really have a whole lot of, um, you know, decisions or breaking news or anything like that in the past week. So, I mean, we can jump straight into, a quick review of the decision day from last week.
I like it.
Started off with a Central Valley victory over Richmond. Now, we told you in the preview last week there were going to be a lot of goals,
Hmm.
and in the predictions, we both limited our goals a bit, but I mean, I think even in the conversation that we had, you could tell that we were hinting at the possibility that there were going to be some uh, a high collection of goals in this one, and it lived up to the hype because a 9-goal thriller in this one, second highest
Yep.
scoring match in League One history.
Yeah. I mean it definitely lived up to it. Was not expecting it. I'll say that. I kind of turned it on in the background while I was doing some other things, and just kept hearing calls for goals. So eventually, I think I started watching it when it was around 3 goals, something like that. That's where I started. So not something you were expecting to see from either Richmond or Central Valley, to be honest. I didn't think Richmond
Yeah,
was down that bad, and I didn't think Central Valley would be up for it after securing the wooden spoon a few weeks ago and playing for pride at this point. But hats off to them; they came out and got a win in Richmond too, which is no small task, no matter how poorly Richmond has been playing.
yeah. So Fuego went out with a bang. So congrats to them on that one. The match that followed that one was Charlotte hosting Tormenta, finished with a 1-1 draw. Now, Tormenta had the momentum in both the stats um, and when you're watching it on the field, but they just couldn't make it happen on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're playing a playoff team. Obviously, Charlotte has been one of the four best teams all season. Venture to say the most consistent team from beginning of season to end of season. So when you're trying to ride that momentum high like Tormenta does at the end of seasons, apparently, um, sometimes you run into the team like Charlotte that just is consistent enough to get it done and denies Tormenta a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was down to the wire too. Tormenta was really fighting there at the end.
which they
And
had
then
to.
after,
I mean, they
yeah,
your season's on the line, you throw everything forward at the end of that match, and
yep,
unfortunately for them, they just couldn't get it done.
yep. And then you had the rivalry match that was mentioned on Twitter last week between Ford Madison hosting Union Omaha, finished
Mhm.
with a 1-0 victory for Union Omaha. Steven Dos Santos gets his fifth goal in 3 matches to seal the victory and the Players' Shield.
Yeah, and not to be, I mean, obviously the bigger thing here is Omaha locking up the player shield, but let's not forget that Madison is in the playoffs for the first time since the inaugural season. So congratulations to you, Forward Madison and Madison fans. Um, that's a big accomplishment. So
Yep.
hats off to you guys.
And in the chats, I'm already seeing Soup Loops jumping in. Good to see you, man. I actually texted him before the kickoff and everything, wishing him good
Oh,
luck and
nice.
everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it looks like looks like he's trying to highlight some of the low lights of the referees from that evening.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, Soup, about the refs if you get tangled up with the referee if the game is supposed to stop and a drop ball is initiated. But um, it's a tough break. But like I said, Tormenta just they had the momentum, they just couldn't find a way to close it out.
Yep. All right, and then following the Union Omaha victory, we had a Greenville draw against Lexington. Lexington had the early lead. They were scaring Greenville fans, but then Jamie Smith, absolute hero in second half stoppage time, gets the goal to even up the scoreboard and split the points.
Yeah. Um, this is definitely one of those moments that Lexington can build off of for next season. You took a playoff team down to the wire, and it took an unfortunate goal from Lexington's point of view um, to get that draw, but still something to build on for next season. And then Greenville, obviously, we're in the playoffs, just not probably where they wanted to be. But I don't even think with the draw with Charlotte that Greenville could have jumped them anyway. So I
True.
guess no harm, no foul on that one. But
Yeah.
you never know. That's the beautiful thing about starting matches all at the same time is you never know what actually you need.
Yep. And then we followed that match up with a North Carolina victory over One Knox, 2-1. This one looked like it was going to be a draw, but
It did.
North Carolina gets that decider there in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Sean Lewis. Obviously, securing the Golden Glove with this match, even though he gave up 2 goals. I mean, this is a team in North Carolina that is that can score some goals. So honestly, even holding them to 2 is still a pretty big accomplishment as well.
Yeah, and credit as well as credit to Sean Lewis, credit to Garrett McLaughlin for that score to get the lead.
Yeah, and securing that first round bye.
Yeah. In the chat, we're getting a message from Michael saying, "Still mad about Greenville scoring on our academy goalkeeper in garbage time." Yeah, I can see that.
Hmm.
Man, I got to tell you, Lexington was fighting though. It was good to see the energy and the tenacity come out from Lexington in that last match.
Yeah, I mean that's something we've grown to expect from Lexington too. I don't think we'll ever have to worry about Lexington being not in the right state of mind going into these matches. I think they have the mentality to win matches. They just unfortunately have not so much this season.
Yep. And let's see here. Then we closed out the decision day with a Northern Colorado victory over Chattanooga, 3-1 in Windsor.
Yeah, I think we all kind of knew where this one was going. I think everybody, myself, you, and the fans all figured Northern Colorado was going to win this one. It's still good to see that Northern Colorado came out and put out a good effort, even though they knew probably at the start of the match that third place was where they were going to end up. But still, that you got to go into the playoffs with momentum, and 3-1 is a good way to do that. Um, and for Chattanooga, you did score a goal, and you didn't look horrible. I mean, honestly, holding Northern Colorado to 3 goals with the night that they were having is a little bit of a you can take a W out of that. I'm not one for moral victories, but that might be one you could consider a moral victory.
Yeah, and I know that fans there um, in Windsor were really hoping for a clean sheet because that would have allowed Lalo Delgado to break the single season record for clean sheets.
Hmm.
Um, but they did get the goal. Lalo Delgado tied the season record, so at least his name is still in the record books. So there's still some respect given to him for his high performances throughout the season.
Definitely, definitely, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Irvin Para getting a goal in second half stoppage time. It's great to see him back and back in form as well. Um, that's one of those feel good stories for the year that I think everybody in the league and everybody who watches a team in the league would be happy to see this story end with, a good happy ending like that.
Yeah, it was, man, that was quite a moment. It's hard to not get emotional um, in a moment like that when you know it. I mean, you and I we know what like a fraction of what he went through.
Mhm.
But even still, following him on social media and getting the updates from both himself and the club and, his friends, family, teammates, and then seeing that happen, that was a special moment.
It was definitely one. One definitely should be on the highlight reels at the end of the season as well.
Yeah. When they were voting for goal of the week, I put Irvin Parr as goal of the week.
I did as well.
I I know that other people were voting for, some of the other choices, but that's I voted with my heart on that one.
Yeah, to me that one is goal of the year.
Yeah.
Just with everything that he went through and getting back there and scoring a goal in a match that they needed to continue momentum into the playoffs.
Yep. And Northern Colorado won this match with an XG of 3.53. That is a crazy XG.
That's high.
Yeah. They man, they were scratching and clawing for those goals and stat sheet was showing it too. We'd also be remiss, like you said, if we did not mention the fact that Trevor Ammon got the Golden Boot Award. Arthur Rogers got the Golden Playmaker Award. So other, season long records or accolades were handed out that night as well. So well deserving to both of those guys.
Definitely. I mean, obviously those two guys are some of the best in the league, and with Trevor Amon scoring 23 goals, isn't that what he ended up with at the end of the season?
Something
I
like that.
mean,
Yeah, it was crazy.
geez, insane.
Yep. Well, when it came down to predictions, I mean, it was a three-way tie. You, me, fans, we were all correct half the time. Three wins, or three were right, three were incorrect. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, three-way tie for decision day.
yeah. On a day where it cannot end in ties.
No kidding. And even though we didn't have any exact scores, Brian, you were close on several of those.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I can't give you like full credit, but I'll give you partial credit for that stuff.
I'll take partial credit, I guess.
There we go.
Partial credit's better than no credit, right? At least that's what I was told in high school when I would miss assignments.
All right, let's jump straight into the playoff previews, man. This is where we get into the nitty gritty here, man.
Hmm.
So, obviously, the first round playoff buys are going to go to Union Omaha and North Carolina FC for getting the top two spots.
Yep.
So, in the first match, which is actually tomorrow night, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time in Charlotte. It is Charlotte Independence hosting Greenville Triumph,
It's
and
gonna
this
be a
is
good one.
yeah, this is going to be a good one. Um, Charlotte's first time hosting a League One playoff match, their fourth consecutive postseason campaign, if you include their history before they joined League One.
Sure.
And then obviously on Greenville, this is their fifth consecutive appearance in League One playoffs, the only club in League One history to ever do that. And at the same time as these clubs heading into the playoffs in opposite forms, they're also carrying quite a bit of momentum with them into the playoffs. So, first off, with the opposite momentums, Charlotte is winless in their last three. And then you look at Greenville, who's undefeated in their last three. But when you look at those momentums that they've been carrying into the playoffs, Charlotte has won 34 points out of a possible 48 at home. So they are red hot there in American Legion Memorial Stadium. And on top of that, Greenville is undefeated in their last six away matches. So this is gonna be a good one. Like this is like a low key good one.
Yeah. I mean, it's the old adage, right? The immovable object meets the unstoppable force. Obviously, these are two teams that are coached extremely well. Two teams that are playing extremely well in the position that they are in. Obviously, Greenville um, coming in would you would have to figure is going to be at a disadvantage going to Charlotte. Granted, it's not cross country travel, it's not anything like that, but this is a very tough place to come in and take points off of Charlotte. They are just very good at home and they don't give up goals at home, which I think is the huge deciding factor in this match, or what's going to be is can Greenville turn their defense into offense against a team that just doesn't give up goals at home?
Yeah, it's a very rare occasion when Charlotte allows more than one goal at home. But if you are able to score two or more goals on Charlotte, you're sitting very pretty. Because when Charlotte allows two or more goals, they have a combined record of one win, three draws, and eight losses.
Ooh,
And if you counter that with Greenville in matches where they have scored two or more goals, they have a record here. They're undefeated in this stat. They are nine wins, three draws, and zero losses. So just like you were saying, I mean, the biggest key for Greenville's success in this one, obviously, this is. I mean, I feel like this is what's the guy from NFL who passed away? He has his own video game franchise.
John Madden?
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those John Madden moments. Like the team at the team that's going to win is the one that has the most points at the end of the game. Like that kind of nonsense, you know.
Sure, sure.
But Greenville has to score goals. And I say that in the plural form. They have to get more than one. They have to put that pressure on Charlotte. Whereas Charlotte, they got to lock it down.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, if you I mean, we kinda talked about the stats. If Charlotte gives up 2 or more goals, if they give up 1 goal, they have a 6-4-1 record. So, obviously, we already know Charlotte can score. Don't think anybody has ever had any doubt about that this season. Um, but yeah, when they only allow 1 goal, they win or draw more often than not. So, um, I granted, you could probably say that about most of the league, honestly, but it's just something to keep your eye on when you factor in the fact that Greenville, when they score only 1 goal in a match, they are 4-5-5. They don't win very many matches when they only score one goal. So they're going to have to, like you said, get at least 2 goals to have a chance in this match if we go just based on history and statistics.
Yeah, and here's where it gets interesting because if you look at the record when Charlotte was playing as the higher seed from throughout the entire regular season, they have an overall record of 11 wins, 9 draws, and 6 losses, which amounts to 42 points. So that's a huge majority of their wins. They did spend quite a bit of time at the top of the standings. So
Yeah.
obviously we had a large data set to get for this one. But with those 42 points, that's the third highest at the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
Two, so in those 6 losses that they had, 2 of them were against Greenville.
Ooh.
Yeah. And in those 2 matches where Charlotte lost to Greenville, Greenville scored 3 goals in both of those matches.
So I mean that just goes to show the amount of research that you do, Rich. You knew that right away and saw that connection right away. And I knowing you, I can just see that as soon as you saw that connection coming, I could just see your eyes just widen real wide like perfect. Perfect.
Gotta find those storylines.
You do. And you do such a good job at it too.
Thank you.
Um yeah, I mean, it's there's definitely a lot definitely a lot that is interesting um about this match. It seems like it's two completely different styles of soccer being played. Obviously, one team in Greenville wanting to play more defensively and more um I don't want to use the term headstrong, so that's not really what I mean, but more of a mentally put together match as opposed to Charlotte who if they have an opportunity to take off and run with it, they just do. And it served them really well. And so there's no reason to fix something that's not broken at this point. Um, but like I said earlier, it's two things that both of these clubs do very well facing off against each other. So it is going to be very interesting to see which one of the two is done better on this night. And if history tells us anything, with John Hark's defense is going to be on point in the playoffs.
Yep. Hopefully it's as on point as Tyler Pollock's playoff hair. I don't know if anybody has seen it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'd say it's one of the best traditions in League One playoff history.
hmm I I would agree. People are just gonna have to go check it out for themselves, though.
Yep. All right. So Soup Loops is keeping us honest here. He said technically Charlotte didn't score on us last week. We scored both,
True.
which is true. Yeah.
That is a good point and a fair point.
Yes.
Yeah. Um. Oh, let's see here. I mean, there is definitely a ton of people that you're gonna want to be looking out for. On both of these teams, especially in the goal scoring department, and a stat that a lot of people probably don't know or are not going to be able to kind of wrap their head around here. Greenville's top scorer has scored more goals than Charlotte's top scorer. Very interesting for a defensive minded club to have Leo Castro with 13 goals and Charlotte having Tresser and Mbuyu with 9.
Yeah.
That stat to me right there is insane and not something if you would have put that up as a trivia question, which one of these two has the higher scorer, I would have said Charlotte every single time.
Yep. Totally agree. And I'm glad that you actually discovered that because I'm sitting here looking at this and I was so centered on something that I was going to be leading into, but that is a perfect stat to look at. Yeah, I didn't recognize that either.
And I mean, I will say too, looking at both lists of top goal scorers, Charlotte has more options at goal scoring than Greenville does. It seems like they kind of spread the wealth a little bit more, whereas Greenville is very top heavy with their goal scoring, which which I don't know if that's more of a credit to um, the guys in the midfield for Greenville getting passes in behind, or if that's more to you just have your guy Leo Castro that you want to score, and he just does. So it's a credit to him. Whereas Charlotte, it seems I mean, they have a lot of guys that can run. That is a big part of that offense, and a lot of guys that are very, very smart with their mind going towards goal. Um, I mean, you have four guys on that top five list with over 5 goals at this point. So, um, yeah, they definitely spread the wealth out.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that while Greenville seems to be top heavy, I think the emphasis for Greenville comes from their midfield and just how much support they have from there. Um, yeah, when you look at these stats, I'm surprised that there aren't more penalty goals between these two clubs. I thought both of these clubs were involved in more penalties.
Yeah, you have Charlotte with 2 goals scored off of penalties in their top 5 scorers, and Greenville with none.
Yeah,
That is very interesting as well.
yeah. The the first goals surprises me as well because Charlotte is, man, they're very even across the board with Mbuyu and Kelly both getting 5 and then Joel Johnson getting 6. And then looking over at Greenville, you have Leo Castro with 8 first goals, and then it drops down to 4 with Liam McKinnon,
Mhm.
and Jacob Labovitz and Lucas Coutinho both have 3 first goals. So Charlotte has the edge with the first goals. And I
Yeah.
think that's just because they're so damn scary when you see them off the line and they're coming at the goal. I mean, who are you gonna guard first, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely not a choice that I would want to make at all. Um, but interesting stat is that Johnson has scored 6 goals this season for Charlotte. All 6 of them have been first goals. So, in my opinion, you should probably guard him if you it is a 0-0 deadlock. Throw a guy at him. But then again, these guys, all of them can hurt you. So,
Yeah, when Charlotte came to Omaha, I remember looking at Joel thinking, "This guy scares me." I'm glad that Charlotte was employing a system where Joel was just set up into a 1v1 for basically the entire night, and he was just gonna get run down and tired real quick.
yeah,
Because I did not want him to get involved in plays time and time again on the other half of the field.
no, definitely not.
All right, so moving past the top scorers, we can go into the assisters. We already kind of hinted at these guys, but um, Miguel Ibarra is leading Charlotte with 7 assists, whereas Alan Gavilanes has 8 with Greenville. There's a little bit of a drop off when it gets to um, Dane Kelly at Charlotte, who has 5, and then Leo Castro, who has 4 at Greenville. So not much of a drop off, but a little bit. Um, but then from there, it's very even across the board for both clubs.
Yeah. And I think it just kind of comes down to um, the amount of goals scored, really. You have Charlotte sitting on 50 points or 50 goals scored, excuse me, to Greenville's 45. You got to make up those 5 somewhere. Um, so getting the assist on those, it's with how Greenville plays, obviously they're going to play through that middle and they're going to have the guys in the middle getting the majority of assists and the majority of touches. So, not shocking at all to see their top assisters being those guys.
Yeah, and you see a lot of the same names listed among the assisters and the top scorers with Charlotte, and which makes me really interested to dive in deep to see the combinations among those players, who's involved, like which two players are involved the most when they're scoring goals and assisting each other, like how that hierarchy works out among those players. Because when you look at the options that are available and how many combinations they can work with,
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, definitely. Mm, mm,
Now, we even went through in our outline here and we separated the amount of goals scored for each club into the 15-minute increments of both halves. So the start of the match to 15 minutes, then to 30, then to halftime, and so on and so forth to the final whistle. And I got to tell you, if you are Greenville, that first half could be a little scary.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah.
Charlotte is combining with 22 goals, with 10 of them coming in the middle 15 minutes of the half. And Greenville in the first half, let's see, I'm seeing 18 goals in the first half. They do close out strong, though. If you look at those numbers get higher as you get closer to halftime. So I think that lends a hand toward Harks and what he's seeing on the field. The players are adjusting to what's happening. They're starting to move the pieces around a little bit. They're starting to recognize the patterns and make those switches on the fly. Um, but then in the second half, man, I don't know. Greenville comes out swinging, but then Charlotte knows how to close it out.
Hmm. Yeah. Kind of interesting to see. I kind of knew Greenville would be a little bit stronger in the second half. They seem like one of those teams that um, the coaches like to go into the locker room and kind of dissect what happened in the first half and are able to make something out of what they've seen. Um, Also, very shocked to see Charlotte struggle going into halftime from about the 31st minute to the 45th minute, only having 4 goals.
Yeah.
Um, that to me seems crazy low for a team that seems to end out things pretty well. And just going back and trying to replay matches in my head and thinking about when they've scored, uh, it just is crazy to me that only 4 goals were scored during that time. It feels like definitely more, but.
hmm And then combine that with the 15 minutes coming out of the halftime break. They only have six.
Mhm. Yeah, there's I forget who it was, but somebody had the philosophy of it's the I guess this is would be a college football term is what I heard it from. It was a college football coach. I remember who it was, but they want to win the last 5 minutes of the first half and win the first 5 minutes of the second half. So if you look at that and take that philosophy into mind, it seems to be something that Greenville does, scoring 7 goals in the final 15 minutes of the first half and 11 goals in the first of the second.
I mean, that almost doubles Charlotte in
Hmm.
that half hour right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you really got to do. I mean, if you go into the locker room strong and come back out strong, that's a lot of momentum to carry out. I know with Greenville, there's a little bit of a dip in that 61 to 75 range, but then they come back out strong from 75th minute to the end of the match. I mean, it's Greenville is definitely a second half team. And that being said, so is Charlotte. So again, it's one of those things where these two teams just match up so perfectly together that, I mean, it's really difficult to try to decide who you like better in this match. It just comes down to what philosophy do you find a as a better philosophy? Do you value defense more or do you value offense more? However, at home, Charlotte values both. They get it done on both sides. So this is it's a steep hill to climb for Greenville. But if any team in the league is suited um, well enough to be able to do it, Greenville is one of those teams in this league.
And when you're talking about how even of a matchup this one's going to go down to the wire.
Mhm.
I mean, we're sitting here talking about all this kind of stuff. The previous wins that Greenville has over Charlotte, they were 3-1, 3-2. Um, this one's going to go down to the wire, though. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, that's been kind of the common theme I've been seeing as well, and what I believe as well. Yeah, you have the opportunity to see some extra soccer out there in Charlotte this week, tomorrow night. So if you're going to the match, you might get a little bit of extra soccer. So I would definitely plan on staying a little bit longer than you usually do for a match.
I agree. Yeah, this one could easily go into extra time. So that's actually a really good observation. That this could easily go into extra time. Uh, Last season in the playoffs in the first round, didn't both of those go into extra time as well?
I believe so.
Because Chattanooga and Omaha went
Hmm.
into extra time, and then I can't
Yep.
remember the other one, but I thought that one went in extra time as well.
Um, Hold on, I can tell you real quick. So that would be Tormenta and Charlotte last season, which I
Oh,
believe did go into extra time. No, it did not. Soup Loop's coming in saying it didn't.
love that man, keeping us honest.
Yeah. Gotta love the listeners. I love it when everybody jumps in and helps us
Yep.
out on these. And we promise we don't cut you guys out. We give you the credit you deserve.
Yep.
We don't cut you out to make ourselves sound smarter.
Nope, not at all. All right, so we've talked about leading scorers, we've talked about assisters, we talked about scoring tendencies, um, other storylines heading into these. Let's go down on a position by position basis and give our take on who has the edge in these two.
Okay.
So first off, goalkeeper.
Oh, goalkeeper, you got Jared Mazzola and Austin Pack. I I
That's
for
tough.
me
That's a
for me
tough matchup.
I mean it's definitely tough, but I'm going with my boy Austin Pack on that one. I think he's just a little bit more proven at this point than Jared Mazzola is, and I'll take experience over raw talent any day of the week.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with Austin Pack, but man, that it's a slim, slim margin
Yeah.
for that pick though.
Mm.
Those are two good goalkeepers.
Mhm. For how many goals we've had this season, there is an abundance of really good goalkeepers in this league.
Yeah. No kidding. I mean, we could seriously go one by one, just like, yep, they're good too. Yep,
Mhm.
that one, yep.
Yeah, just a down year for goalkeepers. I mean, if you're a fan of goalkeepers, this was not the season to start
It's a
watching League One.
horrible season. Yeah. I'm so sorry you started watching this season. All right. Back line. I know
Oh,
which way you're gonna go with this one. I already know.
let's see. Charlotte, you got Joel Acosta, Spielman, and Flanagan. In Greenville, you've got Pollock, Fricky, Smith, and Frankie. Yeah, I got to take Greenville on this one. I mean, this is Greenville's bread and butter is this defense. Um, yeah, give me Greenville's defense in this matchup.
Yeah. I'm saying the same thing. Yeah. That one isn't as difficult, but Yeah, I'm taking Greenville's back line.
Mhm.
All right, midfield. This is where it starts to get tough. Oh,
See, this one's also tough because they play two different formations. So you really gotta, again, what do you value? Do you value a more defensive midfield or do you value an attacking midfield? Um, oh man.
yeah.
Ooh.
And you hit the nail on the head talking about the different ideologies behind these midfields. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. Well done.
Man, I honestly I have to give the nod to Charlotte because they've proven that their midfielders can score goals and assist on goals. Um, Whereas Greenville, I mean, they sit back a little bit more, but they can push at times. They just there's just not that same level of offensive production out of Greenville's midfield for me personally to warrant taking their midfield over Charlotte's midfield. So I got to give the nod to Charlotte on this one.
Yeah. I oh man, it's I really don't want to choose between these two, but at the end of the day, once again, by the slimmest of margins, I'm taking Charlotte's midfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
So
now we go up to strikers.
I mean, this one I feel like is a little bit more difficult as well. Again, different kinds of systems. It's just what do you value more? Because Greenville obviously has better top scorers in that position, but Charlotte's a little bit better all around in that position. But a lot of it's focused towards their midfield. So if it's me, I'm going to take Greenville's strikers in this scenario.
Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna counter you, and I'm gonna go with Charlotte on this one. I think their goal scorers are a lot more threatening, a lot more natural in their instincts. They aren't afraid to go 1v1. They combine well with each other. Uh, oh, I'd love to, man, I'd love to do some research right now and check out unassisted goals versus assisted and all that kind of stuff to see
Yeah,
where they're sitting there. But because I feel like Charlotte would have the edge on unassisted goals, that these guys make something out of nothing. They do it on their own. Um, Whereas I feel like Greenville is more a product of the system, and it's determined by the build-up play and the motions, and I don't want to call it choreography, but the sort of um, predestined routes that everybody's taking down there on the other half of the field. So for me, I'm going to go Charlotte for the forwards,
that's fair. Very fair.
but I understand why you chose Greenville. Those were good reasons.
Yeah, and I understand why you chose Charlotte. Good with that
Yeah,
as well. They're so even. You could go either way for most of
yeah,
these picks. So can't really get too mad at what the pick is.
yeah. All right. So now we've talked about that stuff. Let's get into predictions.
Hmm, Fiction time. Um,
Yeah.
I think this one will be close for the entire match. Obviously, Greenville's defense is going to look to come out and shut down that powerful attack and midfield. It's a lot of guys to try to shut down. So, like I said earlier, Greenville is the team that is built to be able to do that very well. Um, but man, I mean, Charlotte can score some goals, so it's going to be close. I think it'll go. all the way into penalties in this one. I think Greenville's going to be able to hit on the counter because Charlotte's going to be pushed up very far. They're going to play a very aggressive style, which will play right into the hands of Greenville hitting them on the counter, which we know they're able to do. And I still think because of the guys and the amount of goals that have been spread around, I think that that experience comes in handy. And the fact that they have scored more penalty goals, I think Charlotte gets the win over Greenville in penalties.
Man, if that goes the way that you're talking, ooh, I cannot wait to sit down to watch this one tomorrow. I am having a really hard time juggling both sides of the scale because you have Greenville, who's undefeated in their last 6 away matches. You have Greenville, who has defeated Charlotte twice this season, once in Charlotte. And oh man. And a random stat for you, when Greenville is facing a club that ended the prior week in the top 6 and their Greenville is playing on the road against one of those teams, they are 1, 2, and 2. Um, oh man, I'm just having a hard time like going between those. I'm gonna go Charlotte. And what did you say for a score?
I didn't give one
Oh,
for
okay.
regular time, but if I had to,
Oh,
I'm gonna say give me 2-2 in Charlotte and PKs.
2-2. Okay. I think this will be done in regulation. I think it'll be Charlotte 2-1.
It's fair. That
Yeah.
is very fair.
The reason I'm saying that is because after Charlotte was beat at home by Greenville in week 8, Greenville defeated Charlotte 3-1. The next time they played each other was week 19, and Charlotte defeated Greenville 1-0 at home. And knowing how well Charlotte plays at home, I think that's going to be too much to handle.
Yeah, I mean a team that has is gonna have to score 2 goals in Greenville playing a team in Charlotte that gives up less than 1 goal average at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough for Greenville to overcome that, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, we do have club news from both clubs. For Charlotte, obviously, this is all centered around tomorrow's match. Tickets start at $10. So you definitely need to head over to the club website to buy a bunch of tickets, get as many friends and family as you want to head over to American Legion Memorial Stadium, fill the stadium, pack it up. Um, as a neutral, I don't care if you're wearing, blue or green. That's up to you. But just fill the stadium, give it a great atmosphere, watch some good soccer tomorrow night.
Mhm.
We could also say a belated happy birthday to Fabrice Nga. He had his 26th birthday just a few days ago. And Greenville Club news also related to tomorrow's match. If you are a Greenville fan and you are hoping to travel to the match with the Reedy River Riot, make sure you check in with them on social media. If you know anybody, text them that's in that group. You can also join their Discord because they are getting things organized to make a group trip up to Charlotte for this match. So definitely don't miss out on that. I've been on bus trips uh, to away matches or I mean, just even random cities where there's gonna be it's gonna be a fun match, and those bus trips are always so much fun.
Definitely.
Always great memories. If you're a Triumph fan and you are not making the trip, You can join other Triumph fans at Habitat for the watch party tomorrow. When you go to Habitat, they have 50 different taps on hand.
Man, it's my kind of place. I love the
Yeah,
name too.
exactly.
Habitat is amazing.
That is a good one. And the club also decided to extend their fan appreciation sale. So stop in to the team store either physically or online and order your merchandise. It's going to be up to 40% off. Actually, it says here all of it is 40% off. So take advantage of those awesome deals.
Oh yeah, 40%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said it last week on the show, but I'll say it again. Girl math, 40% off, man. It's practically free.
Yep. I was just chatting with Tyler last week because Lexington announced a really cool team store sale. And I was looking through the Lexington stuff and thinking, "Oh, man, there's actually some pretty cool stuff in here."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the best logos in League One.
Yeah, I love it. Alright, and then last but not least, Greenville is still getting together their unified team. They are still taking signups for their first evaluation date. So go to the club website, sign up, and take part. Unified series, Brian and I can attest to it. It is an amazing experience, both for the fans and for the players out there. Nothing but smiles on their faces, and it's so much fun to watch them play. So if you know anybody who is eligible for the unified series, and they want to take part in it, encourage them, get them signed up, and let them have some fun.
Yeah, it's always a great time, and the ones that I've been to, the fans have been amazing at making the atmosphere like just like the professional side. So definitely something that if you can take advantage of, definitely do. It is totally worth it.
Yeah, I still have my scarf right here. That's
Yep,
my unified series scarf hanging up behind me. So
I've
if you
got
didn't recognize that one in the past,
I've got
yeah, Brian's got it too.
I can't even get it in text. You're gonna have to take my word for it. It's right here.
So yeah, you can see the unified series one right there. That's the one that Union Omaha had for their match. What was that? They were selling it. Is it against? Oh, it just has Union Omaha
It
stuff
just
on the
has
back.
Union
Okay,
Omaha on the other side. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it
I
had.
think that one was when they played the Madison Unified team, but we were playing Tormenta in
Yeah,
the
that's what it was.
in the professional side.
Yep. And just, there's that Tormenta scarf that I got from Statesboro.
Perfect. Love
Yeah.
it.
Looking to add more, clubs to my scarf collection, so I have some purchases to make in the off season.
Hey, take advantage of that 40% off sale. There you go.
There it is. See, it all comes back together. There it is. Alright, so we got done with that preview. Now we can jump into Saturday evening's match. This is Saturday night. What am I talking about? You have Northern Colorado hosting Forward Madison, and as enticing as the previous one is, this one is just as enticing.
Yeah. I mean, you have Northern Colorado here sitting on their first playoff match, and their first time hosting a playoff match since joining the league. So, and then turn that right around, and you have Madison playing their first playoff match since 2019, the inaugural season of League One. Um, just, just insane that there's a whole lot of firsts. I mean, you could really turn this into almost Madison's first time in the playoff with just how their team has gone through so many different changes and coaching changes and player changes and field changes. I even think they were on a different field in 2019.
Oh, that's
So
true, they were. They
yeah,
were on that
this
multi-purpose field, yeah.
yeah, you could almost call this a completely different team, but Madison fans aren't going to care. They are back in the playoffs where they feel like they belong, and Northern Colorado fans are happy to be here, being a high seed and getting that hosting duty for the playoff match. So both sides are going to be super excited for sure, um, and both sides are set up to play pretty deceivingly well against each other. I'll say that.
Yeah, Future Legends is gonna be a great place to be on Saturday night. I wish I could actually be there to watch it in person. I have to work Saturday, so I can't go. But I know that Kyle over at Talking Flock is going to be making the trip out there. I saw that he bought his plane tickets.
Yeah, the flock travels. So, I mean, I would expect to see a sizable contingent of pink inside Future Legends complex.
Yeah, and I don't know if they've had to embrace the sound effects during the set pieces, but get ready because it's coming.
Oh yeah, that'll be there.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I could be in Windsor Saturday so I could hang out with the guys over at Linners and Woozers, hang out with
Hmm.
Kyle. Oh, that would be just man,
Yeah, I wish I could be making the trip as well, but
yeah, dang it. But here's a random fact for this one before we start getting into a lot of the aspects of this preview. The last 4 matches between these 2 sides has seen at least 1 penalty.
oh, wow.
That's the last 4 matches between these 2.
Get ready for some drama, everybody, because that's what this is going to turn into.
Yeah. And just as we said that the previous matchup had 2 teams that were heading in opposite directions as they went into the playoffs, same thing here. You have Northern Colorado who has a 3-match win streak heading into the playoffs, whereas Madison is winless in their last 5. Then you look at Northern Colorado, they are undefeated against Ford Madison in all 3 matches this season. Madison even failed to score against them. The only other club that Madison failed to score against was Charlotte, and they only played them twice this season.
Yeah, that's got to be a gut punch of a stat to bring up to Madison fans. That does not bode very well for their chances in this match.
Yeah. Madison is winless in their last 5 matches, like I just said. They are also winless in their last 5 away matches heading into this one. Double gut punch.
Eesh. Yikes. Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. You're going to be going to uh, Colorado. You're going to be playing at altitude, um, and Colorado is the second best home team in the league, um, winning 11 matches and then 2-3. So 2 draws, 3 losses. And then you turn around and forward Madison, seventh in away rank with 5 wins, 5 draws, and 6 losses. Um, and having a tough time scoring away from home are the Mingos, just averaging a little over 1 goal per match and away from home and giving up almost 1.5 goals, let's just say, per match. And you have the other side, as just kind of speaks to Northern Colorado's dominance at home this season. They score a little over 2 goals average it across the entire season at home and only let in just over 1 goal. So it if you just go by stats, it does not look very good for forward Madison.
Yeah, this one just on first glance here, not looking too good. And then if you start getting into some of the scoring trends, if you score 2 or more goals on forward Madison, I mean, you're virtually guaranteed to win because Madison has a record of 1 win, 3 draws, and 9 losses when their opponent scores 2 or more goals.
Hmm.
Whereas Northern Colorado, when they score 2 or more goals, ooh, this is going to be really bad. They are 17 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses.
Oof.
So
Yeah.
that's the clear dividing line right there.
Yeah. Not great. So I mean it's It's definitely a tough road for Madison, but to me, this match isn't going to be so much decided by what the stats would tell you. This match is going to be decided by what team can come out, and if Madison can frustrate Northern Colorado enough to throw them off of their game. Forward Madison uh, is a very physical team. They are built to be able to go and mess with the heads and the bodies of the teams that they are playing. They have a lot of very crafty players that know how to play the game in the way where a team like Northern Colorado is susceptible to some I don't want to say antics because that's not the word I'm looking for, but to their particular brand of football. So um, and that being said, it's just hardworking and kind of caution to the wind almost play, but doing it in a smart way. So Madison is built to be able to take on Northern Colorado. So if they can frustrate them, they will definitely up their chances because I think cooler heads prevail in Madison as opposed to Northern Colorado. I don't think Northern Colorado has the ability to separate emotion very well against this team. And I mean, we've kind of seen that all season with them. And we've definitely heard that on the sideline with the sideline microphones being so close to the bench for Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think it's wise to separate ourselves from the stats and look at this as the on-field performances that we've seen throughout the season. And I think you bring up a really good point in that there's going to be some there's going to be some shenanigans on the field. And like you said, cooler heads are going to have to prevail. I I have to believe alongside you that Ford Madison has that sort of fortitude to be able to play those mind games and to get through it on the other side and not get sucked into it.
Hmm.
The the thing that they always tell you in soccer, they never catch the instigator. They always catch the retaliation. So if Ford Madison is going to play the role of the instigator, I mean, they're going to be blowing their whistle at Northern Colorado all night.
Hmm. Yep.
I do think that Northern Colorado does have the focus and desire to pull the game back toward the ball rather than the man, but that's going to be quite the tactic. That's a tough balance to play throughout the entire match if you know that the other team is coming at you with that tactic time and time again.
Yep.
It's hard not to get sucked into it. I've certainly been there.
Yep. I'm trying to get this pulled up. It's the next part that I'm looking for.
So as we look at players to watch while Brian is getting that set up, Trevor Ammon has scored in 50% of Northern Colorado's League One matches this season,
Hmm.
which, I mean, 32 matches. You're talking a guy who scored in half of those. That's crazy. I mean, and you look at his goals, yeah, I mean, he has 23 goals, which obviously would put him at scoring in that many matches throughout the season, but still that stat is just, man, it's so weird to think that one single player can contribute that much to a team in a single season. Full
Yeah.
credit to him.
Oh
And then to
yeah.
go even further, I mean, he has scored a goal in 44% of Northern Colorado's home matches this season.
Yeah. And it's definitely interesting to watch him to watch him play. Obviously, he has a nose for goal and just is able to score quite a bit. But what I also think is interesting is it's not just one style, one way of scoring. I mean, he can score on breakaways, he can score on volleys, he can score on headers from corners. I mean, and he's converted 4 penalties this season as well. So I I mean, he does a lot for this Northern Colorado team. And if you're looking at the rest of their top 5 scorers, obviously there's going to be a huge drop off between Trevor and the next guy down, which is Billy King with 8 goals. Um, but it starts dropping pretty quickly after that. I mean, you have Hernandez on 7, Rendon on 5, and Lucky Oprah on 3. So that a lot of their offense goes through Trevor, and that is something to watch out for, especially with a team like Madison that can frustrate and shut down single players. They do that very, very well. Um, and so you turn around and look at what Madison can do on offense. They're one of those teams that their goals are spread out between a few different guys. Christian Cheney sitting on 10 goals. Derek Gebhard sitting on 6. Um, Bartman sitting on 5, and Jaden Oden on 5 as well, and rounding out with Payne on 3. So a little bit of a drop off there, but not nearly as severe as Northern Colorado. So you just have to wonder in this one who is going to step up if and when Forward Madison key on Trevor Amon in this match.
And I love that you mentioned the different roles that Trevor Ammon has played for Northern Colorado, because if you look at just last week's match, he didn't play the roles that we just described. He played more of a false nine. He was an assister in two of the team's three goals. He had an assist for Hernandez, Marky Hernandez, as well as I think he assisted Bruno Rendon in that
Yep.
one as well.
Hmm.
So even if you try to take Ammon out, he can always sit back and he can facilitate. So that's just another role that this guy can play in Northern Colorado's offense.
Yeah, I would honestly be shocked if we see him in the league next year.
Oh yeah.
um, but then again, I have to keep going back to I feel like Madison um, is gonna be able to frustrate them and key on players to the point where you're gonna have to make the decision to move away from him, and you have to make somebody else beat you. I mean, that honestly is the key to beat Northern Colorado is you have to make somebody other than Trevor Ammon beat you. Whereas, excuse me, Forward Madison, they have a lot of guys that can beat you. They are very a balanced team. Um, so you really got to look out for multiple players on the team, and that's not taking anything away from the other guys on Northern Colorado. I think they definitely would have had more of a chance if Trevor just didn't go on the run that he did this season. And you have to, I mean, if you're Northern Colorado, you did what you probably should have done and just kept feeding him. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets shut down, who's going to step up.
Yeah, I was super surprised to see Forward Madison's midfield setup against Union Omaha on decision day.
Hmm.
I thought they were going to come out with a different scheme than they did. Um, it'll be interesting to see how they set things up against Northern Colorado. Um,
Yeah.
because as you mentioned earlier in the preview, Northern Colorado has 2 wins in this series, and then they drew the second time they met.
Hmm.
So Madison has to come in with a different scheme, a whole slate of different tactics, because obviously what they threw at Northern Colorado in those previous 3 matches wasn't working.
Hmm.
and they need to get contribution from, Madison's scorers, Cheney, Gebhard, Bartman. They need to get those guys involved.
Yeah, Cheney is a key if for this Madison attack. Obviously, I mean being the striker and being everything like that. Obviously, you need your strikers to score goals, but Christian Cheney has been a bit MIA as of late, so he really needs to step up to give his team a a chance in this one. Um, and that being said, I mean you have the guys on Madison like Jaden Onan with 6 assists on the season, um, and Payne with 4 assists. Those guys have also got to really step up and facilitate those runs that Cheney makes because we've seen them. If you've been watching forward Madison, Cheney is making the runs. The ball is just not necessarily getting to him on time when it probably should.
Yeah.
Um, and flip this around, and I feel like it's the exact opposite here. Arthur Rogers with Northern Colorado on 11 assists, and Lucky Oprah on 5. And obviously, we know who he's feeding. These guys are feeding the majority of the time, and obviously, it's working.
Yeah. And I like the prospects of Jaden Onan, Stephen Payne, getting involved in this match.
Mhm.
Stephen Payne, we've seen consistently be, good throughout the season. He's a known performer in League One.
Yeah.
Jaden Onan has been pretty hot lately, and so you have those two guys. One who we know what we can get from him versus another guy who let's see what we can get from him. We've liked what we've seen, but let's go even further and see what we can get.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, the potential versus the guarantee. I like the combination that those two players have coming into this match. That's going to be a fun tandem to watch.
Definitely. So, if we go ahead and take a look at when these teams are scoring goals, um, again, Northern Colorado, for the most part, it's kind of take your pick. They're a little bit weaker to start the match. Most teams are, you would think, but Forward Madison actually has 9 goals scored in the first 15 minutes of a match, as opposed to Northern Colorado's 6. That is going to be a huge, huge thing for Forward Madison. If they can come in and do what they've done 9 times already this season and score a goal early, that is going to do wonders for the confidence of the guys of Forward Madison, and it is going to shake Northern Colorado a little bit.
Yep, got to come out swinging.
Mhm.
Got to strike early. Got to put them on the heels. Yeah. Yep. Well said.
Yeah. And I mean, as the match goes on, the longer you go without a goal, the stronger Northern Colorado gets. Northern Colorado, very strong, 13 goals in the final 15 minutes of the first half, and 11 coming out of halftime. So, I mean, it talked about it earlier. You win before and after halftime, and Northern Colorado has done that consistently all season.
Yep. As we look at these numbers, Forward Madison gets weaker as the match draws on. Northern Colorado gets stronger.
Mhm. Yeah, you definitely have to wonder how much of that is the physicality of Northern Colorado's front guys, because they're not small by any stretch of the imagination, and they are very athletic. So, um, with them getting stronger as the match moves on, um, you have to wonder if Forward Madison intentionally shrinks in and absorbs that pressure later going into matches. It seems to be that way. It seems that Madison wants to jump out early and sit back on that lead, which is not something we're used to seeing from that team, but it's gotten them into the playoffs. So obviously you're probably going to have to try to roll with it. This being a completely different animal, I don't expect that Madison is going to sit back as much and try to play to extra time. I just feel Northern Colorado is one of those teams with how strong they get as matches move on. You want to end this one in regulation. So I'd expect to see a little bit more of an attacking prowess out of forward Madison late than what we've seen for the majority of the season.
100% agree. Yeah. Um, this is one of those where, I mean, it's one and done. So,
Mhm,
like you were saying, their attacking prowess is going to have to be on its A game, and it's going to have to carry to the 90th minute, the 90 plus 5 minutes, 90 plus 10 minutes, because this is it. I
mhm,
mean, you can't just take the draw and move to next week. This is it. I mean, you got to win. So go all out.
mhm.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a stronger forward Madison team, like you just alluded to, um, in this match. Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, like I said, the longer the match goes, the stronger Northern Colorado gets. If you jump on them early, like Forward Madison has on teams this season, you give yourself a real good chance, a real good chance at them. Even if that is you get a couple goal lead early, and then they come back and surge back because they will. That is just what they do. They've done it all season. Um, but if you can use your really strong first half, like Forward Madison has done the majority of the season, and uh, build a goal, couple goal lead, and then you can focus on defending a little bit more. But one goal leads are not going to do it against this Northern Colorado team.
Nope.
You got to
Got
get
to have an insurance policy. All right. So goalkeepers, Burn Shipman, Lalo Delgado. Who you taking?
oh, it's mm, it's really tough to choose between these two. It's the same problem that we had with the first match.
Yeah.
They both just are better at different things. I feel Shipman is a better guy at leading out of the back and being able to play out of the back, whereas uh, Lalo Delgado is obviously a shot stopper. That's his expertise with, especially with how many penalty saves he's had this season. I mean, it, he is the shot stopper. So that being said, I would much rather take the guy who can play out of the back and get you out of danger a little bit easier. So in this one, I'm actually giving Shipman the edge.
Ooh, okay. I am going to take Delgado because of the fact that there have been so many penalties between these two, and Delgado is actually pretty good at
Yes,
defending the PKs. So I'll take Delgado in this one.
that's a good point. Very good point.
But you're not wrong because Shipman has kept Madison in so many matches because of his ability to block those shots.
Mhm,
So, I mean, it's not like Shipman's a bad choice or anything like that. I mean, he's a damn good choice.
mhm.
All right, defenders, defensive lines.
Oh Lord, this is another one of those where it gets super hairy because you have to decipher is Rogers a back? Is he a winger? What is he? If you're categorizing him as a back, oh, I mean, between him and Cornwall, really, those are your big defenders for Northern Colorado, and I see Kroll, Brotherton, Osmond, and Payne on the back line for forward Madison. So for me,
Yeah,
I have to go with your back line and your defenders. I feel like more forward Madison also has the edge in the back line for defensive purposes. And I also don't consider Rogers a defender. I see him more as a winger than a defender. It's but that's how they line up. So I'll take the defending prowess over over the attacking prowess of my defenders.
Yeah. I am actually going to go with Northern Colorado on this one. I really like Bruno Rendon. I really really like that guy.
Mhm.
Watching him play, like he's good. Um, and I'm surprised he's not in more talks of like defender of the year. That's the kind of hype that I'm giving Bruno.
Mhm.
Um, also looking at like Breck Evans, Rob Cornwall, as you said, Leo Fala. Obviously Arthur Rogers is back there. That's a good back line. Um, Man, let me take a closer look at Brotherton, Kroll, Osman. Yeah. Dang, man. Yeah. I'm gonna
It's tough. There's no right answer in this one. It's just
yeah. I'm gonna give the slight edge to Hailstorm.
that's fair. I can see that.
All right, midfield.
This is when it for me it wildly shifts over and just the too many guys to name for Northern Colorado's midfield. And they all get involved. So a rather easy choice for me on this one, but give me Northern Colorado's midfield all day long.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, especially with the injuries that we've seen impact Ford Madison's midfield this season. I feel like this is an easier call for Northern Colorado. Billy King, Nordy,
Mhm.
Jackson Dietrich, Ina Kwakwa, Marky Hernandez. Yeah, come on. Noah Powder. I mean, geez. Yeah, I'm going Northern Colorado in midfield.
Yeah, Northern Colorado is a very talent heavy team.
Yep. All right, top line strikers.
I don't feel like you can go against the runaway Golden Boot winner on this one. Um,
Yeah.
and then my pick for Player of the Year that I don't think is going to pan out, but not a bad season. Billy King and Trevor Amon. I mean, you got to go with Northern Colorado on this one.
Yep.
Um, that's not saying anything bad about Cheney or Bartman, but giving given the matchup between these two and just the number of goals, which is what you want your forwards to do, you got to give it to Northern Colorado for me.
Yep. Wholeheartedly agree. Yep. Have nothing to else to add on to it. So yeah, right there with you. All right. So looking in the chat, looks like Soup Loops has Northern Colorado 3-0 in this one. I
Mm,
think he threw in a prediction earlier in the night too.
yeah.
Um, oh yeah, he had Greenville 2-1.
So he's saying Greenville and Northern Colorado.
So he's got one upset, but not the other.
Mm.
All right.
Well, I
What are
mean,
you thinking?
teams separated by 1 point. Can we really call that one an upset? No.
True. Yeah, true.
Oh, this one. um, I do think forward Madison comes out really strong. I think they get a goal very early in the match. I'm talking first 5 minutes. They try something creative. Matt Glazer's had the week to try to prepare and figure out how to attack this defense of Northern Colorado. So I think they come out swinging, and I think they get one early. Um, but I mean, with how strong Northern Colorado gets down the stretch, and how weak forward Madison gets down the stretch as the match wears on, I there's just too much talent on this Northern Colorado team for me to feel good about picking anything other than them. So you got to give me Northern Colorado 3-1 in regulation.
Oh, that was gonna be mine. Um, all right, so now I gotta do I'll go Northern Colorado. I think okay, I'll say this. I think that Northern Colorado gets their third Dos a Cero against Ford Madison this season. So I'll go 2-0.
It's fair. It's another fair one. I will say my my prediction on this one too. If forward Madison can come in and frustrate Northern Colorado, this match will be close for the majority of it. Um, and I feel like Madison is built well enough to be able to do that. I think they will keep it close for as long as they can, but there's just too much firepower on this Northern Colorado team, and that I think they'll get their second and third goals late into this match, and unfortunately break the hearts of some forward Madison supporters,
Yeah. Yep.
which Union Omaha fans know all about with last year's playoffs. So
Oof.
I hate last minute goals, but they happen. So
Yep. All right, and I didn't see a whole lot of club news coming out of either Northern Colorado or Greenville, so we can go straight into the Q and A. The only one that I put in here was for you, and it's a very simple question. Forget the predictions that you just gave us.
mhm.
Which semifinal matches would you like to see the most?
Which ones would I like to see the most,
Yeah.
or which one being
So
speaking from the fan side of me do I want? Because those are two different questions. If I am I speaking as a neutral as if I'm on the podcast, or am I speaking as if I was on my own Twitter account?
so you're saying you'd like to see a rematch with Union Omaha and Ford Madison?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if that's yeah, I think honestly that might be my prediction and want for both sides of that. I think the feelings going into that match would be great, and the fan side of me wants to play a rival in a meaningful match. So
And
that
then
could also go with Greenville as well. So
who would you have in the other one?
and the other one, if Madison if Madison won, then it would have to be NCFC versus who did I say was going to win that first one? It's so
You had
close, I don't
Charlotte,
even
didn't you?
remember. Yeah, so it would have to be NCFC in Charlotte.
And that was a dead even series. They both won one, lost one, drew one in that one.
Yeah. Now, if the fan side of me, I feel like Omaha matches up better against Charlotte, so I'd rather see Charlotte. If speaking as a Union Omaha fan, um, I know I've seen a lot of talk about, oh well, Greenville would be a great one. I don't want to play Greenville. It's gotten kind of old, and I would much rather have the team that I feel like Omaha can beat easier as a
Yeah.
fan. I'd rather see Union Omaha win, um, personally as a fan.
Well,
But
yeah.
so I'm going to go with the team that I think gives Omaha the better chance of making it to the final. But um,
So you would have to have Northern Colorado and Charlotte win in that scenario for that to happen.
yep,
Gotcha.
yeah, and I mean that's how I see it going down. So um, it could be close though. I think, like I said, I think both of these matches are going to be a little bit different than what people would expect.
Yeah. Even as a Union Omaha fan, the rivalry with Ford Madison, of course, I would love to see that one again, but personally, not in the playoffs. I don't
Yeah,
like a one-off with Forward Madison.
no,
Um, no, thank you. Especially the way that we've seen those two match up this season. No, thank you. I want to see Union Omaha win. This is me throwing my obvious bias into the equation, and so yeah, do not give me Forward Madison.
yeah. I although I do think that that would be the would that be the most entertaining match? No, I still think the more entertaining match would be NCFC and Northern Colorado playing each other.
Ooh, yeah. what's that series been looking like this season? All right, so North Carolina against no, yeah, Northern Colorado, or sorry, North Car. Dang it, we almost got to another one. Ugh. North Carolina has 2 wins over Northern Colorado.
Yep.
They beat them twice, 2-0, and then Northern Colorado got a 2-1 victory in August.
And I selfishly want that matchup to happen as well, so I can hear ourselves trip and stumble over that, talking about the two teams together. And I guarantee we will make it 5 seconds into the podcast before one of us screws it up.
Son of a.
Luckily for me, you do all the intros, so it's a higher chance that you'll screw it up before I do.
Yep. I'll die on that sword. That's fine.
It's tough, man. I do it all the time.
Soup Loop's jumping in saying, I think Madison's been on a downward spiral, and I don't think this is the game where they can fix it. And Noko's defense has been on a high. Yeah, I agree.
Um, It's fair.
So do his predictions? Oh, he has Greenville winning the first one. So that
He does.
that goes against what you and I were predicting.
hmm So
All
in
right.
Soup Loop's situation, it would be Greenville coming to Omaha and Northern Colorado traveling to NCFC.
Oh yeah. Ooh, that would be cool. Either way, if he wants to watch playoff soccer, he's got to go to Cary,
A little
which
bit.
I don't think that's terribly far away.
Not sure.
Maybe I don't know, maybe like a 4 or 5 hour trip straight north, maybe 6. I don't know. I'm not good with the geography out there, but I mean, it's better than you and I driving like 8 to 10 hours out west to go watch a match in Windsor.
I think Windsor's only 7, 7.5.
Is it?
So, yeah, it,
Oh,
it's north. So I mean, you take
oh,
a
that
different route. So I mean, it's not like
yeah,
going to Denver. So
true.
you got to go split off and go north.
So there's an advantage there.
I suppose you could go
True.
through Denver if you really wanted to, but the last time I was out there, I would avoid going through Denver unless I had to. It's not an easy city to traverse.
Yeah. And friend of the pod, Alice and I were just chatting yesterday, and she was saying that there was a recent sale for Southwest flights going from Omaha to Denver for $80 round trip.
Oh, that ain't bad at all.
Oh my gosh, that's a steal. I'd be all over that,
Mm, yeah,
and I didn't see it, so dang it, couldn't take advantage of that one.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yep. Soup Loop's jumping in saying he thinks it's 5 or 6 hours to drive up to Cary. So yeah,
It's, it's not too bad.
yeah, not bad.
Depends on how long you're going to. If you're just going for the day, 5 or 6 hours might be a little bit excessive. But
Yeah,
if you can make a weekend out of it, that's always great.
yeah. I'm sure
And
you could make a weekend trip out of that.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we will give the people in the YouTube chat here just a quick moment if they want to throw in any questions. Um, and just as Soup Loops did this week, as we go through future shows, even for semis and the championship, the final coming up here, and even next season, if you want to throw your predictions into the live chat, go ahead and do it.
hmm
We're more than welcome to bring in some more predictions, more voices, more opinions about everything that's going to be happening. So we appreciate all that stuff. Make it happen.
Definitely love hearing from everybody else to see if everybody else thinks kind of the same, or we've been we've been told different things and that we've been wrong. We've been told we were wrong multiple times. So
Yep.
uh, and that's fine. Love to hear from everybody out there. So definitely,
And
if you got something to say, let us know. We will
who's
shout you out.
the who's the resident Charlotte fan on Twitter? David.
Uh, is it Thick Gum? Something like that. Thickman, maybe.
Here, I'm looking them up.
I'm butchering it really bad, so I apologize already. But I can see the profile. It's just like what I do in real life. I will see your face and I'll know that I know you from this place at this time, but I will not
All right,
remember your name.
here, I can find them real quick.
It is super frustrating in my day-to-day life, I can tell you that.
Do do do. Yeah, I can see his profile picture in my head too. I'm just trying to think because because he was keeping receipts last week when we thought that Tormenta was going to upset Charlotte.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh,
so I
yeah,
wanted to give a shout out to him.
gotta keep receipts.
Yeah, here I'll just head over to the pod's website or
Yeah, there you go. It'll definitely be interesting. I will say, though, I don't know how I feel about a Friday night match. That to me, in the playoffs, a Friday night is not doing any favors to these teams that are trying to get people in. It doesn't. I mean, maybe Omaha's just a harder city to get through, but it seems like weeknight matches for Union Omaha is just super difficult. So I can only imagine playoff implications on a Friday night.
Thackum. Yeah, you were right.
Thackum. Yep.
Thackum. Yeah,
I
you
was
can find him
close.
on Twitter at d Thackum.
Hmm.
Yes, and I'm so glad you talked about um, some clubs like traveling to Omaha and having to play afterwards and what kind of toll it takes because Omaha is a bit of a weird place to get to with airports and everything.
Hmm.
Um, I was asked to do some independent research to look into that, and I actually sent that email out this morning with the results of that, and the results were a little interesting. Teams coming out of Omaha did not fare well when they played their next match. Um, if you look at the points that were captured in the week after they played Union Omaha, as a collective group, the League One collective only had 38% of the total points available.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that definitely speaks to I don't know if it's necessarily all to um Eppley not being the easiest airport to get to or get from in the
yeah,
world. Um but it's definitely not helping. I can tell you that because anytime I fly out of Eppley, I feel it for about 2 days as well. So,
yep. And uh, when clubs would play an away match after Union Omaha, it was always between the same 4 clubs. There were 5 matches played against 4 clubs, and they're very predictable. Ford Madison, One Knox, Lexington, and Chattanooga.
mm,
So the league certainly did the clubs a favor in scheduling them for those clubs
smart.
after Omaha. But yeah, teams did not perform well when they came out of Omaha the next
Mm-mm.
week. So I'm so
Interesting.
glad you mentioned that because I just sent that email this morning.
That's awesome. That's why we work well together.
Yep, exactly.
We got a new chatter in the live chat.
Ooh.
Rock Solid said League One literally has me contemplating whether work is important for 24 hours to go be louder than Independence fans.
Do it,
Hey,
man.
man.
Go for it.
Hey, I can tell you right now that if Union Omaha makes the final, I am taking the Monday after the final match off for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've
Yeah.
already let my boss know that it's like, hey, this is floating. It may happen, it may not happen, but I'm reserving it right now. I will be gone this day.
Yep. Very smart decision.
Yeah, got to do it. Got to look ahead.
Yeah, rock solid, man. Absolutely. Go do it. Be loud. Yeah, enjoy the match. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, work ain't important.
Yeah, no way, man. All right. Well, if nobody's going to be throwing in any more questions into the chat, we are going to make our exit. We appreciate everybody joining in the YouTube live, as well as submitting questions, predictions, comments over there. Um, and then, we want to thank everybody for following us on social media as we throw stuff out there on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So we will be back next week for a breakdown of the semifinals, as well as a quick review of all of this, as well as any other, breaking news that happens around the league. So we will keep you all updated about the League One action that's happening around the league. And it's going to be a good, good, good weekend.
Definitely will be.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.